everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Cynthia and today's video is a journal with me video. So I've pre-selected some pages that I want to work with, and I also have a few items that I know I want to create with. Some items are junk from my daily life, and then others are just different items. And I'll just show you those right away. So I've selected, I have this little note that was sent with a happy mail. I also have I was doing my driving exam, so I did some testing before, some practice test, and so I have some of a paper related to that. And then I also have this little piece of vintage ledger paper that was kind of tying up some ephemera that was sent to me in a happy mail. So my first thought is to create with the biggest piece that I have to create with, which is this kind of it's like a grading system. It's just a photocopy from someone else, and then they wrote on top, as I was doing some practice testing, some of the things that I was not very good at. But I did pass my exam, so it's all that matters. Oh my goodness. That was such a stress off my shoulders. So I want to put it, I want to glue it down onto the page so that you can open it up, but I want to cover it so that it looks really pretty. I don't really care for the drawing that's on there. Literally, if I went back to it, it would make no sense. So that's not the information that I want to be able to hold on to. So I'm just using this printable that I had in my scrap pile, and just trimming it by folding it, and then I'm just going to tear that side and just making it fit properly onto the piece of paper that I have. And so I just used my glue stick to secure the printable onto here. And I'm also just making sure that I'm pressing that down really well with my bone folder. And then to secure that piece of paper, since it's a little bit bulkier, I'm a little bit worried that if I only use my glue stick, it might kind of pop off eventually. So what I decided to do was to do a combination of adhesives in this situation. So I'm adding some double-sided tape just on the edges of where the paper is going to be laying, just so that it doesn't lift up, because usually that would be kind of where it would lift up the most. So I'm hoping that by doing that, and then of course I'm going to be using my glue stick as well, just using two pieces of double-sided tape, but I'm going to cover the back side that's being glued with my glue stick, and then hopefully with those two adhesive, it's just going to be stuck on there really well. And I'm just flipping that page over to make sure that I can secure everything really properly. There was a tag that was bugging me from another page. It had some staples on there, so just be careful whenever you're creating if you use staples. I find that this happens to me quite often, but it's easy to simply remove the item usually. Yeah. Otherwise, you could also place like a thicker piece of cardstock between the two pages so that you're not injuring the current pages you're working with. And so I'm happy with that. And then I want to cover the sides that are left around that. So there's like some blank space. And so I'm just going to use a washi tape to do that. That's one of my favorite washi's. It's from Washi Wednesday. It always goes in and out of stock, so if you ever see it and it's out of stock, typically it does go back in stock. You just gotta keep an eye on it. And so I'm just placing one piece on that side and then a piece at the bottom. So the next thing that I'm doing here is adhering that piece of ledger in the corner of the music sheet that I have on this page, and it's gonna serve as a tuck spot for some of the other items that I'm working with. And I'm just using some double-sided tape to do that. I think that's plenty adhesive for this particular piece. And so now I'm able to kind of tuck in that note. I do want to tuck in something else. So at that time I didn't have anything selected, but I'm just going to be additioning a few different journaling cards that I have. I create those just using some printables. These particular ones are printables from Ruby and Pearl Exo, but as always, I'll have all of my favorite shops listed down below. And I'm gonna go with this one. I just like the tones of it, and I think it kind of pairs well with everything else that I have going on. And then I wanted to put some things in the little envelope there. So I have this little note from like Christmas time. Sometimes things just don't get into my journals, so I find a time to put them in there at some point. And I also want to put a card in there. I'm just kind of going through and seeing if anything piques my interest. And it does. Sometimes I just don't really know what I want to use, but by seeing my ephemera, my memory and thoughts are triggered. So I selected this particular one because it has an equation on it, and I just wanted to journal a little bit about how difficult certain things are right now, and like how it just all seems like like a hard equation to figure out how to make everything work. So it felt very adequate for what I wanted to write about. And I'm just going to be covering it with a little piece of a scrap paper that I have laying around, as well as with a little ribbon that I'm going to staple on there, just to add some interest and be able to journal onto it. And then I'll slide it into the little envelope. So moving back onto the other page where I had glued on that piece of like testing, I feel like it's a little bit too bare, so I want to add some elements of like collaging in the corner, and I'm just additioning different pieces. Essentially what I started out with is going to be changed completely, and that's okay. You know, sometimes you add a piece and you really like it, so you want to work with it, and then you add something else, and then all of a sudden you end up with nothing you started with. So this is what happened here. This is a piece of a scrap from like the sleeve of a hardcover, like a vintage hardcover, and I just really love the colors on there, so I wanted to collage with that. And then I just switch out the floral sticker that I have to work with. And that's what I'm landing on, so I'm just gonna adhere the different elements on here. Just press down that flower and make sure that the edges, I just fold them over. I don't, you could also cut them. And then I'm just gonna use my glue stick to secure the other two elements onto there. Now I also want to add a piece of lace, and to do so I'm just going to use some fabric tack that I'm just going to lay, I mean, like generously, but I'm also going to be spreading it with my finger just so that it covers a little bit of a wider section. And then I'm just going to press down the lace onto it. And so now I'm ready to move on to the bigger page that is a printable, but I don't feel that I can journal very easily onto this one. So I just want to add like just a focal point in the middle of the page to create a spot where I can add a little bit of kind of a quote or like a theme to the journaling. And so to do that, I just grabbed a piece of a vintage page that I'm going to be layering with a coffee stained bag that I had. And I feel like that's essentially it for these pages. I felt a little bit like I didn't know what else to add, and whenever I feel this way, I always decide to journal because it means that I'm just too indecisive, and often once I've journaled, I see if there's still something missing, and it does fill in a lot of the blank of that's present in the pages. And so that's about it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave me a thumbs up. It really does help me out. I wish you all a really wonderful day, and I will talk to you all in my next one. Bye now.